4 downs is all about one player and one big hit that could end up sending a shockwave through the AFC playoff picture. Rob Gronkowski running up the seam in New England, makes this catch from Tom Brady, and then boom, gets taken out by TJ Ward. A vicious-looking hit. When a man that big is writhing around in pain afterwards, you know it's not good. Ward going low, Gronkowski in pain, carted off. He ends up with a torn ACL and MCL. And you take a look at the difference in the Patriots this year with and without Rob Gronkowski. The real number that stands out, the red zone percentage and then the points per game. 11 more points a game when Gronkowski is in the lineup rather than when he's not, as we will have an all-Gronk version of 4 downs here. You're excited about it. So, Ross, we'll start with you. First down, just the impact of this injury.
Well, I think we need to start talking about how much longer he's going to play. I mean, the guy's had 4 surgeries on his forearm. He's already now had 2 back surgeries. Now he has a torn ACL, and there's MCL damage as well. The human body can only take so much. It's not like he's a quarterback. I mean, he is a physical, running down the field, blocking tight end. At some point, you wonder when all this trauma is going to catch up to him. And even if he does come back, whether or not he'd be the same guy.
For you, Howard, the impact of the injury.
I think it's going to really affect him in the playoffs. I mean, it's going to affect his career, like Ross said. He won't be done, but he's going to lose a step. All that stuff that they always say when you get those injuries. And he's not Adrian Peterson, so he's not going to come back faster and stronger. But as for the playoffs, the Patriots kind of rescheduled the entire offense to go through Gronkowski, and now he's not there. I have no idea, and I mean no idea how they're going to continue to play at a high level.
This just has a huge impact because, we looked at the first 6 weeks of the season, and Tom Brady wasn't putting up any numbers. And it's because he didn't have anybody to throw the ball to, really, on a regular basis. Gronk came back, and Brady went back to being Brady. I think this completely changes the way we look at the Patriots. And when you combine it also with the injuries they suffered earlier this year to Gerard Mayo and Vince Wilfork, I mean, has there been any team in the league that has lost 3 more important players this season than the Patriots?
That's a good point. All right, second down. Was this a dirty hit, Howard?
No, unfortunately, that's what the league wants. They don't want any more of the head-on-head collisions, the hitting above the shoulders. They're trying to eliminate them totally. And, the DB did what he was supposed to do. He's supposed to go in low, make the tackle. It's not a dirty hit. It's just like most players will tell you around the league, if you're a receiver or ball carrier, please stay off my legs, please.
Well, and I actually think that the impact of the new concussion rules and head rules, I think that's been overblown a little bit. I mean, Howard, when you played, and certainly when I played, DBs used to come in and chop tight ends down all the time. Where do you want TJ Ward, who weighs $190, to try to tackle Rob Gronkowski? He's going to go low. And listen, Gronkowski's my favorite player, but that was his 3rd step after he caught the football. It's not like he was catching it and TJ Ward came in. He caught it, took a couple more steps. It just was a bad shot. I mean, but I've seen Antoine Winfield come in and chop Kyle Brady down like a tree back in 2003. I've seen those type of hits with DBs and tight ends all that. Look how big Howard is.
Right.
It's like you try to tackle Howard.
I can't get him up here. I gotta dive at the legs if I want to get him.
But I think what we're hearing from defensive players this year a lot is because of the new rules, they're afraid of going high on a player because they don't want to be fined, and they're basically saying the rules are mandating that they go for the legs and go to the lower part of the body. So whether or not it's happened in the past, I think it's more on the minds now of the defensive players that even if they can go high, they don't want to be fined, so they're going low and you're having injuries like this.
Well, right. And it's a narrative that you're going to hear from the players afterwards. Absolutely. Whether or not it actually dictates what they're deciding on the field is a different story. Although ACL injuries are way up this year, so that's something that the NFL is certainly going to have to examine. Meanwhile, for 3rd down, how about who has to step up for the Patriots in the absence of Rob Gronkowski?
Well, I'd say there's probably 2 players here. Shane Vereen caught a dozen passes the other day, the most in Patriots history for a running back. But I'd say the guy that really has to step up in his game is Danny Amendola, who was supposed to replace Wes Welker and hasn't come close to putting up the numbers that Welker did playing in this Brady offense. He's had a hard time staying on the field, although he has played now the last month. He needs to catch more than 4 or 5 passes in a game for 60 or 70 yards. He needs to if he's not capable of being a dominant player, at least get 6 or 7 catches and let the offense go through him now.
Howard.
Well,
go ahead, Ross.
I was just going to say, I agree with both guys that Gary mentioned. I would also say Julian Edelman. I mean, Edelman has been excellent and has filled the void significantly. He's going to have to carry even more of the load. Edelman has become Brady's go-to guy.
Yeah, even more so than Amendola. He seems much more comfortable with Edelman. What do you think, Howard?
I think it's going to have to be Coach Belichick's going to have to step it up. He's going to have to find a way and start engineering something for Tom Brady and this offense and all these guys that are mismatched and placed together to do. Coach Belichick is going to be the most important player/coach in this whole thing right now.
4th down, Ross, will the Patriots still make the AFC title game?
No, they won't. They will lose to either the Cincinnati Bengals or the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round. Boom.
Wow, how about that? You are wearing a purple tie. Gary, what do you say?
No, I do think that they'll make the championship game because they'll get the first round bye. They'll have a divisional round game at home. I think they'll win that. And I think they could have beaten Denver in a championship game with Gronk. Now, I don't give them much of a chance.
Now, one thing to remember, you say they'll get a bye, and they very well may, but if them and the Bengals end up tied, Cincinnati does have the tiebreaker, having beaten New England head-to-head. That's why that win against Cleveland this past weekend was huge for New England. What do you say, Howard?
I think they'll get there. I'm still thinking, Belichick and Brady, it's hard to beat them. Gronk's out. Everybody's, thinking it's over. I think they'll still get there.
All right, fair enough. You know what? It's into me. Because of the way he said boom, Ross Tucker is today's winner of 4 downs. Yes, Ben, nicely done, Ross. Hey, sound effects, they play big here on This Week in Football.